Hello and welcome. My name is Jeff Roberts. I've been a video producer and host for several television programs here at Kenosha Community TV over the years. On the 7th of June of this year, we lost a dear friend to Kenosha Community TV. His name was James Harold Schlichting. For those of us who knew him, he was Jim. To us, he was always Jim. Jim was born in Chicago in 1938. He graduated from Bradford High School in 1956. He was a U.S. Navy veteran and was stationed on the West Coast for 2 years. Jim married his high school sweetheart, Lois, and they were married for 60 years, a tribute to love and compassion. After his military service, he and Lois moved back home to Kenosha. They remained here where they raised their family and built their lives together. Sadly, Jim died after a very short battle with cancer. Jim Schlichting was one of the longtime members of Kenosha Community Media. He received a Lifetime Achievement Award, now known as the Dennis Shook Memorial Award. He was very active with KCM. He attended board meetings, even though he was not on the board. He wanted to know what was happening with our television program and how he was able to help with the various projects. Jim cared about Kenosha as a community and as his home. He had a passion for music, enjoyed plays, local theater, musical sponsors and musicians that were sponsored by the local high schools, and community theater groups. Jim Schlichting was a member of our community and someone that will be remembered as a friend to all who came into contact with him. He always had a smile on his face. When asked, he would say, "Doing pretty good," even though he wasn't. You'd never know. Here to tell us a little bit more about the Jim Schlichting story are some of the producers and friends from Kenosha TV. These are the people Jim came into contact with frequently, not only on the television station, but when he was about town or attending a function. At first glance, you would have thought they were part of his family, and to him, they were. Let's watch.
Well, we're here in the control room. This was Jim's second home here at Kenosha Community Media. He was an outstanding volunteer and he contributed so much to so many different TV programs. There aren't enough good things I can say about Jim. We learned so much from him. He was a mentor to all who had the honor of working in the control room with him. He will always be missed and always be remembered as an outstanding volunteer for Kenosha Community Media.
Jason Rimkus, Media Coordinator here at Kenosha Community Media. Sad day, sad month, who knows how long. It's just been very heartfelt. We want to give out to Jim Schlichting, his family, him and his family. We lost Jim Schlichting, a great volunteer, producer or director, camera operator, just everything, tricks of the trade, does set design here. We miss Jim Schlichting very much here at Kenosha Community Media, Channel 14. He pretty much helped out on a majority of the programs, and those that he didn't, he was well liked by those as well, just all-around person. And it was once said that he really had no enemies, and that's true. I mean, he just was well liked and gave so much of his time here at Channel 14. A lot of times when volunteers come in and see me, they're the first ones before they get entered into the studio or remote areas, and I could just tell that he was very persistent in wanting to get involved in this organization, and he did, and he just shined so well, and again helped on many of the productions and was just well liked. So we miss you, Jim. I'm glad that part of you is around here by either your set design from Polytalks or other areas as well that you came in and helped out. So thank you so much, Jim. We also want to give our condolences to the Jim Schlichting's family and friends as well. So he will be sorely missed around here. So thank you, Jim.
Hi, I'm Mary Magdalene Moser. I worked with Jim on Polytalks, and I have to say he was just a consummate gentleman the whole time, always in a good mood, never had a bad word to say about anyone, and no one ever had a bad word to say about Jim. And his breadth of knowledge was amazing, because we got an opportunity to chat over the course of the 7 or 8 years that I've been on the program. And he was just an all-around wonderful guy. I don't know if we'll ever be able to fill his shoes, but we'll try as much as we can. He was a wonderful man, and we'll miss him very much.
He was a man of family. He had many friends, and he was a great lover of freedom. Out of all the things in his life, he was a giver, and at Channel 14, he not only helped me on my program, Make a Choice to Rejoice, but there's many programs, and I'm sure you'll hear in other sound bites, witnesses, and testimony of his giving. If we had more of the people even behind me that he served, it would be shocking, because he served and helped many programs. He will be greatly missed. He is greatly loved, greatly appreciated, highly esteemed, and there is a void without Jim here, but the good news is that he is in heaven. No more sorrow, no more pain, no more suffering. We thank you, Jim and family, for your service and your sharing with our community. Thank you.
Memory of Jim Schlichting. He was a good family man, hard worker. I worked with him with Polytalks for probably the last 10 years, maybe longer, I forget. But he did a super job producing our show. He was dedicated, and whenever you needed him, he was always available for us. The man will be missed.
Jim Schlichting was one of our finest workers here at Kenosha Community Media. He volunteered a lot of his time to help out with a lot of programs. He also volunteered time to help out with many other projects. He was a good friend and a person that was very admirable. He was a great family man. He spent time serving in the United States Navy, and Jim was just an all-around great guy that people admired. And I met him here in Kenosha Community Media. So I want to say it's been about 7-8 years ago already, and working in some cameras on a show that we were doing, live show for one of our producers here. And that's where I met Jim. And then Jim was showing me some ropes through audio and camera knowledge that he knew, and just a great guy to know. He didn't only offer his help, but he assisted people if they needed help with something. He just didn't give them advice. He actually physically would help out if somebody needed help. And not just here, but Jim was an all-around great guy in the community. He was well-liked and very well appreciated, and we do sadly miss him.
Yeah, I think Jim was a great guy. He was easy to work with. I always called him the general because he had everything organized. He was one of the most organized gentlemen I ever met when we did production, especially for Polytalks, for Slow Burn. He was always on time. I mean, the guy, if I had a million volunteers like him, I'd be happy because he was always organized. He was always prepared. He was always positive. That's why I liked Jim. Jim was a great positive individual. I liked working with him. And he had more responsibility than sometimes even some of the producers who produced the shows, because he would call in and let the other volunteers know when the production had to be done. It was kind of like he was like a professional. That's what Jim was. He was very professional when he was doing his shows. He was easy to work with, easy to talk to. Sometimes he'd also give advice. Sometimes he was great for giving advice. He was a real nice guy. I'm sadly going to miss him.
Well, Jim has always been very active in Kenosha Community Media, and from the get-go, I kind of inherited him when I inherited Polytalks, and it's been one of the wonderful legacies left behind is that I got Jim Schlichting to take over the crew. He has been always there, always responsible. There are a number of words that pretty much encompass what Jim Schlichting was, as far as I'm concerned. Gentleman is a word. He was always a gentleman. Courageous. He always, faced his illness with courage, and he never, really saw that he was suffering, and he always managed to come to the studio even when he was suffering. Dedicated. He was dedicated to his work. Responsible. You could always count on him. There were a lot of wonderful words that you could say, and that Jim very much exemplified.
As I think back on the day of Jim's funeral, I am reminded that we, as a community, have lost a valuable member of Kenosha, and just how much we will miss Jim Schlichting. He was a husband, a father, a grandfather, a neighbor, a good friend, a friend we will remember for years to come. We'll think of Jim when we watch some of the television program from Kenosha TV. Remember him, he had a hand in making a lot of that in a lot of the television shows. He was a cameraman, a sound technician, a director, a video switcher, a floor director. He was always behind the scenes, never in front of the camera. He manned the control room, held a mic boom, manned remote cameras at remote video shoots all across Wisconsin and northern Illinois. I know, because I drug him all over the place. On occasions, he helped me chase down batteries, lay cables, dig around in my pickup for a missing tripod. We always seem to forget until the last minute. I drugged Jim all over the state to do remote video shoots. We taped HO trains, car shows, the Harley Davidson Museum. We went to gun ranges and a host of other locations. Everywhere. Where one of us was, usually the other was there with a video camera. Each time I asked, he would pull out his trusty calendar, check the dates to see if he was open, and then would say, "That's good for me." So off we went on another adventure in television production. When we watch a local musical production from the high school or local theater group, we'll think of Jim. We'll remember how much he loved the arts, music, and everything else in our area that was arts related. Jim became a part of our lives, and he will be remembered as someone who always seemed to be there, right there, ready with the videotape, with a video camera, with a microphone, in an event for others to enjoy, ready to videotape. Never in front of the camera, always behind the scenes, but always ready. Back in 2005, Jim became a part of Kenosha TV. Later in 2007, I started working with Jim on the part of the crew for Polytalks. Jim was the director. I took over the soundboard, and at the time I had no idea we would team up over the next 11 years to do television shows like Harley Davidson and the Biker Culture, HO Trains in Action, Firearms and You, the U.S. Constitution, Diving in Kenosha, the Civil War reenactment, video production, A Primer, Creating Music for Beginners, Shaking Up Kenosha, Time for a Slow Burn, all television series that Jim has helped to do for public service television. Jim also helped with public service announcements, far too numerous to mention. Had it not been for Jim Schlichting and the support he gave in the control room, I would not have won 15 of Wisconsin Public Access Best of the Midwest Video Awards. Jim Schlichting played an important role in helping others do well, to be successful. He also helped us through our failures. He always tried to see the best in others and helped us to see that too. A true life lesson we could all use from one time or another. To Jim, it was natural. He practiced this philosophy every single day. And now it's up to us to remember our friend, Jim Schlichting.